Every year, children fall like leaves and faint during Sith March celebrations. Yesterday was not different, as many children were rushed to the Red Cross stand for treatment. And of course, the rains may have spoiled the beauty of Sith March celebration, but it saved many children from passing out. Can we not find ways of reducing the burden on children every Sith March? On March 2nd, 2012, a young girl, Etonam Goni, died in Hull whilst rehearsing for Independence Day March. The nation remembered her on 6th March when a minute's silence was observed in her honor. Our memories have gone to sleep. Is it not yet time to discuss how to protect our children during 6th March celebrations? Should our children continue to faint and even die for Ghana's independence? Pressure group AFAG wants children excluded from 6th March celebrations. This is today's big story. Well, we're joined on the line now by Yakubu Mohammed Sani, who is Deputy Director, Action Aid. We also have Bright Appiah, who is Executive Council Chair of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. Good evening, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on today's big story.
Yeah, good evening.
So let me start with you, Mohammed. Children marching on 6th March. Is that all we can do as a nation?
Yeah, for me, I think looking at the issues coming up, it's important we look at this from a different perspective. Because in terms of, we have two issues around here. One has to do with the time spent in even the preparation towards the march and the number of instructional hours children lose as a result of preparing for this march. The other perspective has to do with their participation on that day. If you look at the child protection policy, we're saying that you don't have to keep a child for more than 2 hours without providing the child the snack. Is that what we do? So these are the issues we need to look at. As much as I appreciate, and at least some of us have gone through this when we're kids, participating in it is so exciting. It develops us psychological, building our confidence and what have you. But I think it's about time for us to look at how we can do it differently.
I mean, yesterday was heartbreaking seeing the children still marching in the rain, heavy rain, I mean, with no prior warning on them. I mean, there could be health implications. My question really is, on a day like 6th March, if children don't march and if the military don't show their strength, is there any other way we can perhaps show patriotism?
Yes. There are various ways by which we can show patriotism. I think one thing that the government is doing is about the recognition of children who have excelled in their various schools. That is one way. The other way has to do with inculcating in them, in even maybe during classes and other things, inculcating in them that kind of Africanism that we need to move this country and the whole Africa forward. That kind of selflessness. This is the time for us to do that kind of reflection and see ourselves as one. You and I will bear with me that political partisanship has actually divided this nation. It is actually moving us away from our original objective of setting us as a nation. It's about time to use these spaces to have that kind of conversation among children so that at least that idea of catching them young will be in them so that in future they are talking about us as one and not as a divided nation.
Right. Mr. Mohammed Sani, I'll still have you hold and get on to the other phone line with Bright Apia, who is also with us. So, Bright, I mean, I know you may have watched the 6th March celebration. Either you were there or you watched. I mean, what image does it cut for you seeing children drenched in rainstorm like it happened yesterday?
Yeah, thank you. I was in Kumasi, so I can say that I watched on television. And what I can say about it is that talking about issues in terms of participation and whether or not children should participate in events like this, I would first of all look at it from the various legislation that we have. And if you look at the Children's Act, one of the principles on which we drafted the Children's Act was on child participation. And it is also one of the cardinal principles on which the UN Convention on the Right of the Child was also drafted. So the issue of participation cannot be ruled out in terms of how we want children to understand history. We want them to also appreciate things that we do as a state, and for them to also be as a way of also building their patriotism spirit and all that. So all these things are there, and we need to take all those things into consideration when we are looking at issues concerning children. What I'm worried about is the signal that we send to children in the celebration that we do on the 6th March, as to whether they are participants or they are part and parcel of the whole celebration. Are they there to just perform an activity to the amazement of others, or are they there to also feel part of the whole process? Because at the point, what I witnessed was that the dignitary session was moved to another area, whilst the children were just standing there. So the whole question that we need to ask is whether we are just allowing children to just participate in terms of they doing an activity, or they should also be part and parcel of the process.
So let me get a bit clarity, a bit of clarity before we move on. You mentioned that for participation, it's not an issue. Is it to suggest that you are saying emphatically that for children to participate in the march is itself not bad, right?
Not at all, because it's one of the cardinal principles, and we cannot run away from it, that it is one of the things that we say that children must have the right to participate. So participation is a right.
But what if on an annual basis we get these same children fainting and some even died?
That is a question that we have to ask. But for me, the 6th Independence Day is one of the days that we cannot afford to lose children's participation in it. So the question that we should be interested in is that to what extent do we allow children to participate? Because I know that you can't keep a child for a certain number of hours. You cannot also keep a child in certain environments without providing certain services. So we have to ensure that when children are participating, all other things will be in place to ensure that we guarantee the safety of children, because the conducive environment under which children participate must also be guaranteed. And if those things were not done to the extent that children have to faint and then they have to be taken to hospital without any proper systems, then that is where the issue is. And for me, that is where we should look at to even question the extent to which the state itself seek for the best interest of the child, because we cannot say that children should not participate in events like this. To the extent that what we are even calling for is that when you look at the welfare principle, the section 2, the subsection 1 and 1, it is even saying that whatever we do, the best interest of the child should be paramount. So what we are even proposing is that the president himself must have time every year to even share the vision of the state with children, for them to also understand where we are taking the nation. So participation is very critical. But we should be able to discuss other matters in relation to how some of these things can also violate the fundamental rights of children, so that we can deal with those matters, so that when children are participating in events like this, it will be smooth, they will enjoy it, they will feel part of it. Because one of the essence of participation is that children should not be participants, but they should feel part and parcel of the whole process. They should be part of it. It's not just a matter of just we getting the children, mobilizing the children, come and perform, and then they leave. but they should also understand what they are doing. And if they're able to do that, and children are there, we can say for sure that yes, indeed, they are participating. But
right. Right, I'm listening, sir.
If we just allow them to pass it without even putting certain things in place, then of course the good intention would also be would not be something that we should, because it's in the process we are also violating the rights of children, which for me we need to also protect.
Right, right up here. I'll still have you hold, and I have also Mohammed Sani. So Mohammed, you are listening. You're listening to Bright's presentation. Do you also get the sense that children participating is not exactly bad, but perhaps the extent of their participation should be looked at again?
Yeah, I think that is what I earlier on talked about. Yes, it's a right. But how do you ensure that that right is clear? That is very important. And I'm happy you have alluded to the fact that whatever decision it is that we are taking, it should be in the best interest of the child. So as much as we want to give the child a space to claim the right to participation, how do we ensure that the child participates in an environment that is not injurious to his or her life? And I think that is the issue here.
But Sani, I'm curious, really. We've been marching. I mean, I'm not old enough to have seen Ghana become independent. But as far as I recall, since I've been in school up to today, we march every 6th March. Is this really necessary? Must we continue to march? What do we march for?
Yes, I think it's not about continuing to march. Yes, we can have maybe some kind of marching, but we need to de-emphasize the marching and emphasize on issues that actually affect the development of this country. We are over 57 years. The child is just about 15 years. It's about time to enable the child to reflect, to say that in the next 10 years, this is the way we think maybe the country should be run. During 5th March, there should be that space for children to have fruitful interaction with decision makers, stakeholders, in terms of the priorities of the children and how they can take on board those priorities to inform policy and program formulation and implementation. So this is very critical. And I think as a way forward, it's important that we go beyond this kind of discussion to have some kind of national conversation to take a decision on how to celebrate.
So you would not suggest that the 6th March should be scrapped?
It's important that we look at the interests of the child as well. Like I told you earlier, it's exciting. Every child you ask will tell you that no, because it's so exciting to them. These are children, and that is why we are there to support them to reflect over this. There are ways by which we can do this differently so that we will not still take away excitement. And like I think Bright earlier mentioned, that is it that they are coming to as observers or they are coming as active participants? If they are coming either as observers or active participants, it's important we ensure that we provide the necessary things to ensure that they have very fruitful participation. Like I mentioned earlier, the child protection policy. You can't keep a child for more than 2 hours without providing snacks. Do we even provide water? These are the kind of things we need to be asking ourselves. And how do we make it in such a way that it will be so exciting and at the end will achieve the objective that was originally set for?
Right. Mohammed, I mean, the thing I was trying to ask is that it's not only children who march. We've got the soldiers representing. I mean, they're showing us their might. We've got civil society marching. We've got police marching. And the whole artillery of the Ghana Armed Forces sometimes is on display. I mean, I recall that when the special unit of the Armed Forces was at display at the last march, there were issues that were raised. Should we continue to march looking at this, this picture?
The participation of the soldiers and what have you makes it exciting for the child. That is right. And in terms of the child, it's important we begin to ask, whose space is it? Is it for children? Is it for adults? Or is it for both? If it's for adults, it should be for adults. And we will be having this discussion. But if it is important for the children, then we need need to put in practical measures to ensure that children effectively participate.
So, I mean, let me quickly hear from Bright. So, Bright, I mean, both of you agree on the fact that it's all right for the child to participate. And I was pushing Mohammed Sani to tell me whether we should be considering scrapping the march entirely. Do you share similar opinions that the march should be maintained?
Yeah, I think that it should be. It is something that we need to also understand what is behind it. And if children just participate without achieving the essence of they participating in the independence, then of course, then we can go back to say that they should be scrapped. So what policymakers and other people, the committees who normally organize this event, must also make known to children what exactly it stands for. Because I can also tell for a fact that there are children that we have interviewed, and clearly, even the national anthem, they do not understand the spirit and the letters behind the national anthem. They think that it is a ritual that they need to perform wherever they are in school or wherever they are in a national event. So you do not feel them as part of the whole event. And they think that it's something that they need to perform because it is time for that thing to be done. So we need to also let them understand the essence of the events that we celebrate in this country so that participation will become very effective. And I can also tell you that when children understand certain things from their own angle, they tend to appreciate it more better and they can spend more time even celebrating that event than us. And I'm sure that the reason why we are even celebrating the Independence Day is to remind us of the celebration that we had, the independence that we gained in the past. So if children cannot understand the essence of the Independence Day to the extent that whatever they are being part of, they rather see that punishment, then it raises a whole lot of questions as to how the committee who normally organize this event explain some of these events to children.
But right, I mean, the pressure group AFAG is actually calling for an immediate exclusion of school pupils from this Independence Day parades. Are they not justified? Seeing all these casualties, I mean, I heard the instructor from the fire service saying that there were about 80 casualties yesterday, and that's even less than number in previous years. And the previous year, a girl died. Shouldn't children be excluded entirely?
You see, the point is that if the state that says that in all things that we are doing, we should protect the best interest of the child, can organize such events, and we have this large number of children going through that difficulty, then it means that something is not right. The state itself is not really taking those statements into consideration in whatever they do. And for me, that's where the problem is. If the state cannot guarantee the safety of children in any environment, then the state will not have any power to mobilize children to participate in such events. The state itself must assure children that whatever you are going to do, it is going to be in your best interest. It is the same way that when parents cannot protect their children in certain environments, parents cannot provide certain things for their children. The law requires that the state has the power to take children from that environment. So if the state cannot guarantee the safety of children in that environment, then of course I will go by what AFAG is saying. Yeah. It is that guarantee that we need. But to say that we should scrap it off is what I have a problem with.
Right.
So it is for us to go back to the state and question the state that this is what you've organized. And were you able to guarantee the safety of children in that environment? If you're not able to do it, you should explain to us why we should have this large number of casualties on a day that we are celebrating an Independence Day to remind us of events and something that we claim that it has given us freedom and justice. So we need to also question some of these things to be able to place such matters in the proper context.
Okay, right. So quickly, Mohammed Sani, if you're still there, I want to give you just about 30 seconds to draw a conclusion. I mean, from where you stand and the discussions we've had, what do you think should be the way forward? You have already said that there should be a national discourse. Is that the way forward?
There should be a national discourse. Then in the national discourse, it's important we recognize the participation of the children who we are talking for. If you look at where I'm coming from in terms of working with a rights-based organization, we can't just be talking for children. They have the right to also air their views, so that at the end we'll be able to make an informed decision. So in the national discourse, it's important that children effectively participate in this discussion.
And is that enough? I mean, because you see, the reason I'm pushing is that we need to understand exactly what kind of education children get from marching. If it is patriotism, couldn't they do it in other forms, like you have suggested, maybe organized drama events or lecture events on the day, so they can learn something patriotic than just marching in the sun or in the heavy rain like yesterday?
Yeah, that is why we need this kind of national conversation, including the children themselves, so that at the end, we'll be able to come up with a more systematic approach to go about it. Because don't forget, this is where we're coming from, where every year we march.
Right.
It's going to be very difficult to just say, let's scrap it. Let's give opportunity for other people. Let's get other people's perspective. But
right.
whose perspective is more important here is about the children.
Yes, okay.
We shouldn't underrate the way they think, the way they look at some of these things. It's important to get their perspective, and that will inform the way forward.
Right. Thank you very much, Yakubu Mohammed Sani is director at ActionAid. Now we're joined on the line again by Ibrahim Kweku JC, who is a retired educationist. So IKJC, we know you very popularly. It's great to have you on today's big story.
Thank you very much.
Now,
Mariana.
I'm sure that in your experience as an educationist, you've observed a lot of children march over the years. Is this still relevant in the 21st century in a Ghana which is lower middle income?
I think it's still relevant. I remember my Empire Day march. It was fun, and there is no reason why we should deny present-day 21st century school children their fun and their exercise.
Educational value is in this, parading every 6th March.
But let me say this. We have a choice. It can be just the security forces. It can be just the school children. It can be a combination of both. I would favor a combination of the two. But I would like to see a limit placed on the number of schools. And of course, the limit on the time, so that the children will not have to stand and march until their blood turns to lactic acid and they begin to fall.
So I mean, really, the issue is that are there no alternatives we can explore? I've been speaking to ActionAid and Child Rights Bright Up here, and they've made some other suggestions that we can engage. Do you feel that from the educational perspective, the children can learn more if we perhaps put them in group discussions and teach them, maybe organize the president to meet them once a year instead of marching?
The president cannot meet all the school children in the country. I want to see a day or 2 or 3 days of actual orientation of the students. They should be taught the history of independence, how it all came about. I remember that in our Empire Day days, after the march, we had fun and games. So the grizzly pool, having to run, the sack race, and so on and so forth. So whatever we do, it's not wrong to involve the children. But as I said, I'm concerned about their ages. We should limit them to, let's say, final year junior high school, and then, of course, some students from the senior high school. But I insist we should limit the number of schools taking part. After all, it comes to a kind of rotation. This year, these schools march. The following year, those schools would march. And limit the time. There is no reason why politicians should ask the soldiers, the police, the security forces, and the children to be there at 8, and they themselves come in at 9. They should go by the time keep the time, limit the time so that everybody else can go home. The children can go back to their schools for the fun that should follow. And of course, the children should eat a good breakfast before they go, not toffee in their stomach.
Will it make sense to interest groups if, for example, students in the university are drafted to march in place of pupils?
Please, we don't want any problem with students saying they are too mature to go and march. If we limit it to the teenagers, they are growing. They will enjoy the fun more than our university students. Please.
Right.
Please.
And
unless they themselves volunteer. And okay, that's okay, but let's keep them out.
So you feel that, I mean, if we think about bringing older people, like, I mean, university students, undergrads to march, it might spoil the beauty of Sith March?
No, if they can be persuaded, but we don't want arguments like we are too mature to take part. This is for children and that kind of thing. But I am all for school children at the JHS and SHS levels taking part. But I insist they should eat a good breakfast. They shouldn't be made to stand for about 1 hour or two before the president and his entourage arrive. And the speeches should be kept short, as he did in our Empire days, when the governor or the DC, district commissioner, with his plume helmet and white, delivered a short message from the Queen on Empire Day.
Yesterday's march was, I would describe, a bit eventful, as the president was in the rain, even inspecting the Guard of Honor, and the children were also marching in the rain. It was a bit of an excess, I feel so. Do you feel so, that president standing in rain, children standing in rain, was a bit too much, and the president could have used his presidential authority to call the event off and let the children get some rest?
He couldn't have called it off, but if, as I said, he had decided to cut short the speech and cut short the ceremony, it would have been okay. No, it would have sounded and looked funny, seeing the president dodging for cover and everything being thrown into disarray. It was definitely uncomfortable for the president, his entourage, the security forces, and the students. But these things do not happen often.
Yeah.
And I think the president showed that, after all, he is the president, the commander-in-chief, like a captain. He should be allowed to go down with the ship and not abandon ship.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim Kweku Jesse, a retired educationist, for your time. And Yakubu Muhammad Sani is from Action Aid. And Bright up here also joined us on the telephone to give us a perspective on children's rights. I must say that we've been trying hard to get reaction from government, all the deputy ministers with deputy ministers for education and information we've tried to contact, have not been able to speak to us. So this is today's big story. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with the interactive segment. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the interactive segment, and Gladys is here. Gladys, is Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
I love Fridays. So what's trending?
We're still talking about this school children marching.
Very sad, right?
The excitement also comes in, so it's a bit of mixed feeling there.
I think maybe it's because I never marched, because I went to private school.
Experiences on the march past. So,
I see. Anyway, so let's hear what everyone is saying.
All right, thank you, Steve. On the Interactive, we follow up on the discussion on today's big story. Should our children faint during Independence Day celebrations? We will be picking your thoughts on the issue. My name is Barima Osei Asare. Let's get interactive right here. Right, so we are in this discussion together. Join us via our social media platforms, facebook.com/joynewsontv, twitter.com/joynewsontv. The handles are at joynewsontv and #JNInteractiveGH. Email us via joynewsim@multitvworld.com. Let's be talking together right here. So we will be talking to journalists from other African countries, Nigeria and around, on what pertains in their countries. Let's appreciate the issues better by watching this short clip. So we have been sampling your views on the issue. Let's take a listen.
Looking at the number of hours that the children they keep standing, it's just too much. You could see that even the security who are well trained to do that, sometimes when they keep standing for a long time, some of them collapse in the process. So I think it should be reviewed. The children, especially the young children, they should either totally cancel it, or maybe they can, the second cycle institutions can do it. But for young children like those in GHS and primary school, they should cancel it.
They have to review it because the time the children are going to keep on standing at a particular place is too much. And also, if they want them to march, by all means, they have to do something to help the children to, train up themselves, because this kind of exercise is very good for the children to know how to keep on standing, because it is exercise and it is very good for their health and also good for their, so if they want them to march, they have to train them before they send them to the park to do the march pass.
We have to review this because it's been an annual ritual. We have children fainting all the time, and we should start learning from these experiences. I'm just imagining and wondering if any of these children belongs to any of the people who organize the programs. They definitely would think twice about getting them in the hot, scorching sun every year to march past. I think that it's time to review this and get the right things done. If the military will do that, why not? They have the strength and the muscle to do that. Let them do it, not the kids, lads who are breastfeeding.
As for the children, some of them, they don't take anything in the house before coming to the parade ground. So we have to organize something for them to eat before they will come. So it's good that they have to come to the parade to come and have the march.
They shouldn't be allowed because, one, it's tiring, two, it distracts their studies because it takes time for them to rehearse during the march, for the march. So I think they shouldn't be allowed.
I think yes, but only the strong and healthy ones to march, because if you are not strong and you are not healthy, you might have a heart attack whilst you are marching and faint or collapse. But I think the healthy ones should march because it gives them an opportunity to be in the Independence Square and also get a feel of the Independence Day.
There's a need for us to review it because what happened yesterday anything can happen the next time. So the security personnel are there. They can march so that the children will go and have a look at it and learn the ethics and the history of the country.
Right, so let's hop straight to Rwanda and have online human rights lawyer and political scientist Kevin Katete. Hello, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. You're welcome to Ghana.
Thank you very much. I wish I was there physically.
Right, thank you. What role do children play during independence celebrations in Rwanda?
All right, as part of, educating them about how, how the history of the country and how the country gained independence, they get them to participate in the events at the stadium, at the National Stadium, so they go and do parades.
All right, so on such occasions, do you record incidents of children fainting during Independence Parade?
Yes. Could you come again?
I am asking, on such occasions when the school children go marching, do you record incidences of they fainting during the parade?
No, that would not occur because they do not parade for a long time. I mean, you have many schools coming. Usually children will come in school buses, and then if the children are going to march, usually their parents will be sitting in the stadium, and they will come from the bus and then parade in front of everybody in the middle of the stadium, and then walk away and go back to their buses. They don't stay there for the whole event. They just do their parade and then go back.
So usually how long does it last?
Well, the event would last for around half a day or a whole day, but children would only be there for an hour.
I see. So how were you able to achieve that? Is it a policy the government put in place to ensure that children do not take part the whole day and get stressed out?
Well, I don't know such policy, but all I know is that parents are there, and parents wouldn't allow their children to stay in the middle of the stadium for the whole day. Basically, the children would walk, and the parents, and then afterwards, the parents would collect them and go with them. They would let them stay there during the whole day.
Did you ever go marching on Independence Day?
If I did, well, I did when I was in high school. I was already in high school when I participated in this, but it was the same process. But for adults like us, so we'd march, and then after marching, we'd go sit in the stadium in the shade.
I see. Right. Thank you so much, Kevin, for talking to us. We have been talking to Kevin from Rwanda. He is a political scientist and a human rights lawyer. He has been sharing with us what happens during independence celebrations in their country, Rwanda. We also crossing over to Uganda, where a Ugandan child rights activist, Barbara Kitwe, to also share with us what happens in her country during Independence Day celebrations in Uganda. Hello, Barbara.
Yes, hello.
Barbara, welcome to JN Interactive. So in your country, Uganda, how do school children observe Independence Day celebrations? Do they go marching?
Yes, occasionally the children go marching, and they go with their respective teachers from the respective schools. Many of them are very excited to go. They actually select a few number of children who march for a very short time in the stadium, and thereafter they see. Sometimes they have refreshments, and when the function is done, they go home. And they're very happy. It's a prestigious event.
All right, so do you record incidents of children fainting during Independence Day?
No, I don't recall any. I don't recall any at all. Actually, it was an envious function to attend. Everyone wanted to be on the list, so they had to select a few people to attend.
How is it possible? How do you do it that the children are able to? How long are they part of the parade? They stand on their feet for how long under the sun or under shelter?
I have not estimated for how long they march, but it's for a very short time because these children are not military officers or, the police or in the police force or different cadres. They're just children. So they just go to march and to exercise patriotism for their country. So that is the spirit within which they take them. They do not sit for long hours because thereafter they give them refreshments. It's not for an extensive period because these are children.
I see. So as a human rights activist, what would you recommend for countries to keep school children standing on their feet for more than 1 hour just to take part in a parade?
Unfortunately, that is very ridiculous. It's contrary to the international standards. It's sad that people would make children have to match up to what adults do. I think such countries should ensure that children march for short distances just to show patriotism for their country, and thereafter they should cater for them, give them refreshments, offer them a seat, because they are not military officers. They are not trained to do such things, and such incidences should not happen. I'm actually surprised if they actually happen.
All right, Barbara, thank you so much. We have been talking to Barbara Kitwe from Uganda. She is a human rights activist. She has also been sharing with us what they do in their country, that is Uganda, how they observe Independence Day parade involving school children. And similarly, she also says the children do not stand on their feet for more than an hour. Well, now that we know what is done in other African countries, let's take your comments on WhatsApp and see what you also think could be done in Ghana to ensure we have a faintingless parade for school children during Independence Day celebration, March past. So going straight to our first WhatsApp for the day, it's coming from all right, so let me rather take your Facebook quickly, and then when we come back so as usual, you commented and shared your opinions with us on the topic posted on Facebook. And Zikiu Idris says, I agree with AFAC's call that children should be excluded from parading on 6th March celebration. We should find other ways of making them part of the celebration instead of them collapsing during the parade. Zikiu Idris again says, will the march past add anything to the development of the nation? They have personally having experienced it on 3 different occasions. It might not add anything to our development, but the excitement that it gives you as a school child that you are taking part in your country's Independence Day celebration is fulfilling enough for a child. So, of course, it doesn't really add anything to development, but it gives the children some satisfaction. Nantongma Musa says, if they want to use school children in the parade, then they should better start giving them the same training of the security personnel, at least 6 months training in order to stand like the security personnel. Idrisu Abdul Basit says, why not? They should always participate, just that they sometimes leave them in the scorching sun for a very long time. Nene Donna Enes says, I think they should. We can't teach our children to respect our independence when they don't take part in its celebration. Rejoicing in the celebration gives meaning to it. Mohammed Latif says, national quiz pertaining the history of the independence school be conducted among schools, and the winner must take an award home. Okanta Kofi says, this needs to be abolished. Mensa Konto Steven says, it's all part of exercising the body. It will protect them from obesity and heart attacks, but they have to give them breakfast before they start, because most of these weaknesses come as a result of hunger. Ilyasu Haruna says, no, they shouldn't be allowed. It is expected to instill patriotism in them. How in the end are patriotic when those at the end steal from the poor and vulnerable in society? For me, the security personnel can always do it every year. Ebenezer Kwesi Yenzu says, children participate if only the security agencies are consulted to teach how to endure long hours standing. When we were young, we took pride in being selected among the lost to march for our school. Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you have gone before, you know what this feeling is like. Well, so I agree with you, Ebenezer. Continuing with Ebenezer's message, he says, if you should ask school children not to march again, you'd find most of them not happy. After writing an exam, people know they might fail, yet they rejoice for being part of the graduating class. Upon Emmanuel says they should parade in their various schools rather than going to the Independence Square, and for their schools, they should not let the children parade for more than 4 hours. That will reduce the children from collapsing. So, Emmanuel, I'm sure you would also agree that they can still go to the Independence Square and spend less time on the parade ground, so they still are part of the day celebration and they get the excitement that comes with the day. Samora Owuswe says, some of us marched during our time. They have to start the program early and do away with those long speeches like yesterday, given the history of Guinea when children were getting wet. Kudus Timite says, I think the security agencies should teach their children how to endure long standing. They should be allowed to participate. I'll come back to your Facebook messages and your WhatsApp messages, but let me just catch a breather here, and when we come back, we'll be doing more of your comments on our social media platforms.
Of course, it's all that good for them to go and march, but looking at the situation now, so they can at least be at their various homes and then have a look at it. Those of them who can go there, their parents can take them there to have a look at it.
If they have to march past, they can do that in their schools. They do that within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that is okay. Let them do it in their own small way. Don't put them in the hot, scorching sun every year. They faint, they go to hospital, some die in the process. We should learn lessons from some of these things.
Oh, during that maybe symposia and other this thing can be organized, but not necessarily march past.
Well, I think they should maybe go to the Independence Square, watch what they do, and then try and then learn some of the ethics about the country, and just obey the rules and regulations also.
Right, so welcome back. Those were some opinions expressed about how we can let the children enjoy the celebration without necessarily marching, and you have been sharing your opinions with us. Let's see what you have also been saying on WhatsApp quickly. So going to WhatsApp now. Wow, okay, so I still have to do Facebook, so quickly. Let me get back to Facebook as I open Facebook to, check more of your comments that you have shared with us on the issue of how we can make our school children enjoy Independence Day celebration, marching, but not under the stress that they seem to currently go through, to avoid them collapsing and all that comes with it. So quickly, getting back to WhatsApp to continue from where I left off. Let's see. So Inketia Ishmael says pupils should still be used for the 6th March parades. I think the time scheduled for the exercise is very much early in the day, and most children do not get the time to eat before hitting the parade grounds. Moving on, parents and teachers must ensure pupils take in something before the exercise. Yakubu says students should rather exhibit their talents on culture and academic display, which in my opinion is less tedious and few minutes to perform. Isaka Amadu says they should be allowed to participate, but they must reduce this so this fainting can be kept. So the number of hours should be cut down. Husseini Salam says, no, the march inculcates in these children a sense of nationalism and patriotism, which the country is lacking in leadership today. And Justice Johnson says, age limit and energy is very important. I will suggest 15 years and above. Okay, so our local way will say Bogabia. Bashir will say they should always let them come early, the time the sun is still low, and march so that other activities that does not involve children will then be carried on after that. That's their right. We can't deny them from participation. Kulo Isa Ibn Ali says, yes, but the leaders and chiefs should try to obey time, like one-time Upper West Regional Minister Ambrose Derry, so that the pressure on children during that time will reduce. Young Saint says, I think JHS, SHS, and the police and other government bodies is just fine. Yes, Young Saint, I don't think primary children go marching. More often it's from JHS and SHS and above. Albert Janko says it's not necessary at all. Wumpani says, I will suggest that we should respect time as Ghanaians, such that events like Sixth March will always start and end early to avoid these occurrences. Ronald Yabua, fine boy. Let me see your face. Okay. Their participation is not relevant. They should only add up to the numbers. They only add up to the numbers. Well, fine boy. Emmanuel Tete says, some students don't eat before the parade starts. Teachers to ensure that those who are marching are being given food before parade. Bishop Azuma Gamili says, they should get a canopy with chairs for them to sit, and after all, everything is done. They should come out only when the march pass is getting to their turn. That's not a bad suggestion. Ibn Ali again says, Gladys, thanks for the job you are doing in this media, but Gladys, the leaders should just obey time during independence to reduce this menace on children. Thank you, Ibn. You write plenty. Let me read the last one you gave us. Something needs to be done about this whole issue. It should not be the only marching, but to add something very important to it. But thanks to Techiman MCE for his marvelous job so far. I wish you had told me what he's doing. That is marvelous. Henry Agbo says, it is all because of age. I will prefer 15 years and above to be participating in this. And then Evangelist Alex Quay says, no, the children shouldn't participate at all. If not, so then enough training must be done before it's selecting children or school for the parade. Probably my last one for the evening and for the week. Eric Messi says, they should participate all the time. It's a way of serving the nation or being patriotic at tender age. It's not every village that we have the security forces to march to commemorate the day. It should be observed nationwide. Through the marching, children develop interest in the military and other security forces, which is not bad. This is why I don't agree with the AFAC on excluding school children. In future, they would ask why they are excluded. I agree with you, Eric, because I remember my days, whenever I watched the Sixth March celebration, I remember my days on that Independence Square, swinging my arms and making sure that my eyesight comes on point, and it made me feel good, So we shouldn't really take the children out, but probably we should look at other ways to enhance their participation to take out the unfortunate issues that happen on the day. Well, Steve, you did not take part ever.
No,
so
I never did.
You don't have that memory, but it's exciting.
I guess so. I mean, I grew up in Osu, so during our time, sometimes we went to the Independence Square as observers. For me, it was interesting.
It's exciting. You look forward to the day.
You look sharp in your best school uniform and white socks.
When you finish and your school is announced as the winner, your cluster.
Did you ever win?
Winning, I don't remember, but
did you ever march?
Second. I marched 3 consecutive times.
Did you really march?
I did. It was fun.
Yeah, I reckon so. So anyway, at 8 o'clock, news at 8, the stories you should expect. The chairman of the Electoral Commission has been summoned to Parliament to explain why the district level elections cannot come off as scheduled. It was originally slated for October this year, but the EC chairman recently told the Public Accounts Committee it has had to be postponed due to lack of funds.
Again, during AIDS, President John Dramani Mahama has asked mining companies to act responsibly in communities within which they operate. And he was speaking at a seminar on responsible mineral development initiative here in Accra. So at 8, we'll bring you the details.
Right, so that's it for interactive segment and today's big story. My name is Stephen Anti.
My name is Gladys Osei Asare, and as usual, enjoy the weekend.
And thanks for staying with us.